4. Stations your final time cue will be with 15 seconds until airtime. Mark, 15 seconds until airtime.
The following is a presentation of Learfield IMG College.
This is Duck Insider.
Give it to Verdell. He's got the first down and gone. Duck fans start celebrating. Oregon is the 2019 Pac-12 champion. 2020 Rose Bowl champion.
Richardson, another open three. Good. Duarte dribbles and slams with the right hand. For the third time in the last 5 years, the Ducks are Pac-12 champions. Outright champ.
Foley three. Good. Foley ball. Down Shelley. Three ball. Good. Regular season champions and now Pac-12 tournament champions.
Welcome to Duck Insider.
We're just getting started.
This is Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield IMG College. Presented by On Point Community Credit Union. Better banking, local solutions. Live from the Country Financial Studio, here's Joey Mack.
Hello, everybody. It is 1 o'clock on Monday as we come back on the air for a new week. I can't get into a lot of specifics. I see all the same reports on social media that you all do. Recruiting for Oregon football and beyond appears to be going well. Just judging from a few, different GIFs, whatever you want to call them, that have gone around the social media landscape today. So the Ducks, well done, everybody. So I think we can go on the air and say some good things about that. Your Facebook comments, questions, YouTube comments and questions, Twitter, Periscope. If you're tuning in on one of Oregon Sports Network affiliate stations, on TuneIn, on GoDucks.com, on the GoDucks Game Day app. Thanks for joining us. I am Joey Mack. It was a good weekend for firefighters in our area. The weather was pretty good for firefighting, and that was good news for the entire state of Oregon, really for the entire West Coast. Still thinking about everybody that has been affected by all of these wildfires, and for the fire crews that are out there doing their best, doing everything they can. We're thinking about you all as well. Hope everybody is staying safe. I'm happy to report that my wife and I were back in our home this weekend, which was very nice for us after spending a few days not at home. And we're really on the fortunate end of that spectrum, and I know a lot of people have had it a lot worse than us. So I'm thinking about you all as we continue to monitor the situation, and I think everybody is monitoring that situation right now. So everybody, if you can help, I encourage you to do so. You can find a lot of great organizations like the Red Cross, United Way. If you're interested in helping or even volunteering, Lane County's website has a lot of different opportunities for you to take advantage of. I would encourage you to do so. So for the wildfires, hoping that things continue. Maybe we get a little rain in the future, and it'd be really nice if Mother Nature could bless us with no lightning and no thunder for the next, well, really a long time, but for at least the next week. That would be great. Tobiah with a great comment today that I want to read. He just as we went on the air. Does it make me a geezer because I remember the, quote, good old days when the Ducks used to play sports? Yeah, that was awesome. Yeah, we're all there with you. It's funny. Scott Phillips and I have talked about this before, that Scott's the one that puts together the video version of the Duck Insider Open for those of you that watch the show. Rob Joyce, our producer for the Oregon Sports Network, he puts together the audio version, and then the two come together, and it's just a wonderful celebration of the Ducks. And Scott and I are saying, this is the best Open we've ever had. You get Pac-12 champions of all these different sports, and then unfortunately now we haven't been able to follow up on a lot of those. But we're hopeful that that's going to happen. For those of you who have been keeping up with it as much as I have, I know that it's a little maddening with all these different reports and rumors of what could happen and what could potentially happen and what's going on. And as we've said here, I'm tired of keeping up with it. I wish that we all had some clarity. We all hope for that. And at least for now, the Pac-12 has still suspended all competition through the end of the year. But remember, Larry Scott did say that for basketball, with the NCAA potentially changing its start date, and that will be announced or decided on the 16th, which is Wednesday. We'll have that news for you. Hopefully they have a decision by 1 o'clock Wednesday when we go on the air. If not, we'll talk about it all on Thursday. But essentially the end of November, beginning of December is what is being discussed, right? These are all the different dates that we could see basketball return. And if that happens, if the NCAA makes that call, wouldn't surprise me with the rapid daily testing that is going to be on Pac-12 campuses by the end of this month. It wouldn't surprise me if the Pac-12 made that move. Larry Scott has said as much, that they will reevaluate with all the information that is in front of them. So I think we can all hope for that. We can all do our part to make sure that that works. Mask up. We've got our masks you probably saw from the Pac-12 today. All of the student-athletes and mascots that are saying as much. We can all agree that if we want sports back, throw that mask on because it's going to help slow down the spread of this thing. Also, in other news today, Rachael Doyle is going to join us. Our new neighbor across the hall. More on that in a little while. She is the latest addition to the Oregon soccer staff, and I haven't got the chance to have her on the show yet. Normally, that's the sort of interview that we would have done with a new staff after they had kind of gotten comfortable for a few months. Well, she's been here since January. We talked to Coach Abel on the show in February. Then in March, everything shut down. So now here we are in September, and we're going to be able to talk to a former Pac-12 standout on the soccer field herself in Rachael Doyle, and now a coach for Oregon soccer. We're going to talk with her, get to know her a little bit. I think you'll really enjoy that interview. We actually talked with her this morning, and we have the interview coming up for you on the show today. Really, really impressive coach, and I think that you're going to enjoy hearing from Rachael Doyle. The NFL is back, of course. 2 Monday Night Football games tonight and some Pro Ducks in action. Hronis Grasu getting a start for San Francisco. That was cool to see. The only thing that would have made that any better is if Marcus Mariota was the quarterback. Hey, as a Duck fan and as a 49ers fan, I can hope someday, right? I can hold out some hope. The NFL is back, though. We'll talk about that. Fall programming for us officially gets going this week. What that means. So we've talked about it a little bit, but I want to remind everybody that in lieu of a coach's show in the fall, we were all discussing, like, what would be fun for us to do every Tuesday, basically, instead of a coach's show. And we thought, well, this is really a time to go back and kind of appreciate the history of Oregon football. So the decision was, and the thought was, and I hope it was a good decision on our part, the thought was, well, let's go through the history of each position at Oregon. So what we're going to do is every Tuesday at 5 o'clock, you can join us on the Oregon Sports Network if your local affiliate station is carrying the show live. If it's not, check programming listings in your local market, goducks.com/radio to find the affiliate near you. But we will also be streaming the show on the Go Ducks YouTube channel, on the Oregon Football Facebook page, and on the Oregon Football Twitter account. So what this is going to look like is the history of each position group. We're going to start with wide receivers. Thought, well, there's a lot of great wide receivers in the history of Oregon football. We're starting with wide receivers tomorrow evening. And what we did is Jerry, Jorgie, Terry, and myself, we all put together a list of who we think are the, quote, great Ducks at the wide receiver position. And that's what we're calling the show. Scott Phillips has been tirelessly pouring through the archives the last week to find some great videos, some great highlights. We're also going to have a highlight of the week for each position group. For wide receivers, I'll give you one guess which one we're going to pick. It's probably the one that everybody remembers from the wide receiver position for Oregon football. There were some other ones that we considered. I want that to be known. There were others that we thought about and talked about, but there's one in particular. I mean, a wide receiver catches the ball. There's one in particular that is maybe called the catch around Oregon that, yeah, that was the highlight of the week. I'm giving it away already, but that's going to be on the show tomorrow. So you can watch the show. You can tune in. It's going to be really fun to talk about all these different guys. And I will tell you, as the person who has seen the lists that have been sent in so far by all of us broadcasters, well, the other three guys haven't seen each other's lists. I have. So one, I'd like to say that my list was very similar to Mike Jorgensen's, which makes me think that I know football better than I thought I did. That's one. Two, there's actually one guy on Terry John's list that nobody else had that is kind of interesting. So we're going to talk about that. It's going to be a lot of fun. We'll do a different position each week, and we'll do 11 of these shows, actually, and we're going to do 10 on the positions, and then we're going to do one that's on the best teams. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I encourage you to tune in. Please do, and interact with us. Tell us if we screwed the list up, because we probably did. Let us know, if we screwed it up. Let us know. And we're going to have a hard time fitting all of our thoughts into an hour also. I mean, I'm going to be sitting there kind of going through all the different stats and the record book, and yeah, it's going to be hard for us to fit all of this into an hour, but we're going to do it. So every Tuesday on the Oregon Football Facebook, Oregon Football Twitter, and the Go Ducks YouTube channel, you'll be able to tune in to Great Ducks, and it's going to be fun. Wide receivers, Jerry, Jorgie, Terry, myself. And I told those guys, I'll be honest here. I told those guys, you all watch these guys play more than I did. My lists are probably going to have some recency bias because I haven't been around as long as those guys. So I'm just going to get out of the way. My job is just going to be to shepherd us along and make sure that we get everybody in. But otherwise, I'm just going to let Jerry, Jorgie, and Terry tell stories about all the interviews they did with these guys, the plays that they called. And I'm actually really excited to just sit there and listen to some of these stories from Jerry, Jorgie, and Terry. These guys have watched a lot of football and called a lot of football in their careers. So it's going to be fun. I hope that you'll enjoy it. Also, starting on Saturday, we resume our Osn Classics Series. So if you were with us in the spring, you heard our 23 different broadcasts that all went through the best games of the last decade of Oregon athletics. Well, now what we're going to do is every Saturday, starting at 11 a.m. across the Oregon Sports Network, we will re-air each win of the 2019 season. So essentially, as we all are getting ready for that spring season that we're anticipating now for Pac-12 football, we will binge with you the previous season. The way that I've thought about this, it's almost like Jerry, Jorgie, Terry, and I are going to give you like the director's commentary of a show or a season that you love before we get to the next season of the show. That's what we're going to do. So we're going to do an hour-long pregame show. Jerry and Jorgie will still talk shop. Terry Johns will be there as well. Again, I'm going to be there just to get us on the air and then get out of the way. Maybe eat some pizza while we re-listen to the broadcast. And then Jerry and Jorgie are actually going to drop in at different times and talk about some different things that happen throughout games. So that's coming up on Saturdays. 11 a.m. every Saturday on your local Oregon Sports Network affiliate. That's what we will be doing. It's still Jerry and Jorgie, and right now we're still planning to be live from Osn Stadium. We decided that's actually going to be easier than trying to fit us all in this room because the booth at Otson's a little more conducive to us working separately. And I will say that we're all kind of used to working separately anyway because Jerry and Jorgie's gas is just bad. Guys, you don't understand. Being on the sidelines, it could be pouring rain, cold, windy. I am still more comfortable than John Lundquist, our statistician, and Terry Johns are in the booth because of that level of contamination in the booth.
Well said. Scott
Phillips has been in there, too. He knows that I'm not kidding. I'm kind of kidding.
It's bad.
Yeah.
I'm just going to say it's bad.
It's bad. So... Anyway, I kid, Jerry and Jorgie. That was a cheap shot. Feel free. You can take your shots at me. I'm open. I'm ready. But yeah, that's actually what we're going to do at Osn Stadium. So we've even talked about all these different things. Many of you probably seen like the plexiglass dividers between broadcasters, and we're fortunate with our home radio booth at Osn. It's actually pretty big. So Jerry and Jorgie will each be in a different corner. Terry will run the board, and then we discussed I'm going to go sit in the hallway. Because I'm actually then the furthest away from those guys, and my microphone works from the hallway. We tested it. So that's coming up on Saturday. And I'm actually really looking forward to this because, we're going to get to sit there and sort of relive the best memories of Oregon athletics and that great 2019 season. We're actually going to do that together, which the four of us don't usually get to do that kind of stuff. So I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a good time. I hope that you'll be with us and you'll join us. Meanwhile, in some Products news, Ruthie Hebard went off on Friday night. 22 points on 9 of 12 shooting and 8 rebounds. Ruthie Hebard really came on strong for Chicago at the end of this year. I think that in her rookie campaign, she kind of figured it out over the last couple weeks. Now, unfortunately, Satu Sabali's Dallas Wings did not make the postseason, but I still think Satu Sabali's got a really, really good chance of winning the Rookie of the Year award. And it was really cool last week when Otis Davis came to campus. You heard us talking about this. He actually spoke to the entire student-athlete community and the athletic department community, did a question and answer that was really, really well done. Shout out to Scott LeBounty for making it happen, Zach Lawson from Athletic Communications for filtering all the questions, and from Rob Mosley for hosting it. I mean, it was really, really well done. And Otis Davis just with a tremendous story to tell. Remember, he was Oregon's first Olympic gold athlete. And he saw Hayward Field and he saw his likeness up on that Bowerman Tower for the first time. And some other great track and field legends of Oregon actually sent him some messages. And if you didn't see the video late last week, we wanted to play it for you today because I think it's truly an inspiration. And it's just cool to hear the community of Oregon track and field rally behind Otis Davis. A little tribute that the athletic department put together, and they titled it, But First, There Was Otis. And that's fitting, right? He was the first Olympic gold athlete, and now in the last 60 years, it's been unbelievable what Oregon track and field has become here in Tracktown, USA. And Otis Davis is a big reason why. This was an awesome tribute.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the former world record holder and the 1960 Olympic champion in the 4x400 meter relay and the 400 meters, the University of Oregon's first Olympic gold medalist, Otis Davis.
Hello, Mr. Otis Davis. This is Ashton Eaton.
My name is Phyllis Francis.
Mac Wilkins here.
Joaquin Cruz.
This is Keisha Kurtz.
This is Matthew Centrowitz Jr.
He is English Gardner, 2016 Rio Gold Olympic champion, and also a Duck forever in my heart.
I'd like to welcome you home to the newly renovated, but always familiar, Hayward Field.
It is a place where runners of the past keep on inspiring runners of the present and the future.
Congratulations on the 60th anniversary of your first of 2 Olympic gold medals.
You charted the course for all of us by winning gold.
It's a crew that a lot of us aren't always able to say that we're a part of. So I'm glad that I'm part of that family with you.
Thanks for being an inspiration with those performances to so many Duck athletes in the years following.
I'm so thrilled and excited to be able to have my name shared with names like yours.
Thank you for being such a huge inspiration to not only me, but all the men of Oregon that have come after you.
Today, we honor your legacy, Mr. Otis.
Because before there was Phyllis Francis,
before Matthew Centrowitz,
before Mac,
Joaquin Cruz,
Keisha Kurtz,
English Gardner,
Ashton Eaton. Before any of us,
there was Otis.
There was Otis Davis.
There was only Otis.
Welcome home. Go Ducks.
It just gives you goosebumps, doesn't it? Especially with the voice of Hayward Field and Paul Swangard getting up there at the beginning and introducing him. I mean, that was extremely well done. My shout out to everybody involved with that, and to Otis Davis in particular, a true legend that will forever be remembered around here at the University of Oregon. Just really, really well done. In unfortunate news, we also have to say farewell to a great Duck this afternoon and this weekend as Tom Jernstedt. He passed away as the Oregon athletics community mourns. A graduate in 1967 and a master's graduate in 73. He was a former Oregon football player and administrator, went on to spend nearly 4 decades with the NCAA and helped make its men's basketball tournament one of the marquee events in our entire country. A native of Carlton, southwest of Portland, Jernstedt passed away this weekend. He was 75 years old. As a proud Oregonian and passionate Duck, Jernstedt once dreamed of being the athletic director at Oregon. But after working briefly for the Oregon Athletic Department out of college, Jernstedt actually took a position with the NCAA, and he ended up spending 38 great years there. During his tenure, he became known as the father of the Final Four and was inducted into the Naismith Memorial Basketball Hall of Fame in 2017. Also worked with USA Basketball. He was a true giant in the amateur sports landscape, particularly in the sport of basketball. He played for Len Casanova's football team as a quarterback. And after Casanova retired from coaching, he served as athletic director, and Casanova hired Jernstedt for his first administrative position in college athletics. I want to read you what Tom Jernstedt said to the University of Oregon Alumni Association on the eve of his Hall of Fame induction in 2017. He said, quote, "As I've traveled the country and beyond, I would not have had the career I've had if I hadn't gone to the University of Oregon. I love the state of Oregon. I love the University of Oregon. I wish I was there now. It's a special place, and I would not have had the career and the good fortune that I've had if I had not been offered a scholarship from Mr. Casanova." He became an executive vice president by the time his tenure with the NCAA ended in 2011. He was on the college football playoff selection committee from 14 to 17, and that actually had a one-year overlap with current Oregon Athletic Director Rob Mullins. To honor his memory, you can contribute to the John Jernstedt Student Athlete Scholarship by visiting goducks.com/Tom Jernstedt. We mourn the loss of a great Duck this weekend in Tom Jernstedt. More Duck Insider coming up. We're going to talk with Rachael Doyle when we return after this on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield IMG College.
After 2 years of construction, my wife and I finally moved into our dream home. So when a bathtub fixture broke, causing major water damage, I was glad we had the home insurance protection we needed. How do you know your home is protected? Talk to a Country Financial rep like me, Nick Simon. We can help you understand your options and select coverages to meet your needs. Then if something happens to your home, you won't have any surprises. Need the right coverage for your home but not sure where to start? Visit TakeSimpleSteps.com or contact a local Country representative.
From the weight room to the classroom, on the field and off it, On Point proudly supports University of Oregon athletics because student athletes do so much more than bring us pride on game day. They bring our entire community together in Eugene and all across Oregon. So whether you're watching the game in the stadium, at home, or at your favorite local business, their success makes all of us stronger. On Point Community Credit Union. Join in. OnPointCU.com. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
Don't go anywhere. Duck Insider continues after these messages on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield IMG College.
Learfield IMG College.
Whoa, long time no see. It's me, the Rock t-shirt in the back of your closet. Dude, remember? You crowd surfed in me, man. But you haven't worn me in like forever. I get it, you're retired, but I still got some rock left in me. So take me to Goodwill, where I can really make a difference.
Your donations to Goodwill create jobs, training programs, and education assistance for people in your community. To find your nearest donation center, go to goodwill.org. Donate stuff, create jobs. A message from Goodwill and the Ad Council.
I wasn't prepared to be a caregiver to Mom. I had no idea how hard it would be and what I would need to know. Things I never thought of, like how to improve her mood and ways for me to stay positive. Luckily, I found the Caregiving Resource Center from AARP. It had articles about the basics, but also information about the hurdles I was facing.
Caregiving Resource Center at aarp.org/caregiving. Articles, tips, and tools to help you both care for your loved one and care for yourself. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Joey Mack welcoming you back to Duck Insider, presented by On Point Community Credit Union inside the Country Financial Studio. A lot still to come on the show. Thomas with a great suggestion, tuning in on YouTube. And, this is something that we've struggled with actually for a long time. Mentions that we should have a way for folks to have comments who are listening on radio if you're tuning in live or on the GoDucks app. I'm with you, Thomas. We've actually just never gone down that road. To be honest, I don't really have a reason why.
Just give him your phone number.
Yeah, I know.
I
guess I would say that my email is on goducks.com. That's one way. Shoot, I'm gonna have to think about that. We might have to set something up. I appreciate the feedback, Thomas, and thanks for tuning in. This is something cool too that Tobiah mentions that I forgot. There's a game-winning block for Ruthie Hebert on Friday, which is pretty cool for Chicago. So. A lot of good things happening, and we'll go through some of the Products calendar to keep an eye on this weekend as well. Let's meet Rachael Doyle, though. She is coming to us from a very diverse soccer background. An assistant coach now on Graham Abel's staff in her first year. Every assistant coach interview this year brought to you by the Willamette Valley Cancer Institute and Research Center, I should say. Fight like a duck with cancer care you can count on at the Willamette Valley Cancer Institute and Research Center. Getting to know assistant coach for Oregon Soccer, Rachael Doyle. All right, I have to start with an obvious question. And we'll get to the 2-minute life story in a moment as Rachael Doyle, assistant coach, joins us. But Rachael, people know you as Rachael Doyle, but I feel like I got to give credit to your hyphenated last name, even though on the roster it says Rachael Doyle. So you got to fill folks in here.
Oh, yeah, I do. I have a hyphenated last name, Doyle Gutlein. I got married back in 2018, so there is a hyphenated in there. I don't use it much because it's just too long sometimes, but, sometimes I'm like, oh, why did I do that? I kind of regret it because now it's so hard. I had to get a new social. I had to get a new passport. I'm like, but I wear it with honor every now and then.
Well, congratulations. 2018 is actually the same year that I got married. So 2018 is a good year. My wife did the same thing. So I'm with you on the difficulties with paperwork that it creates. But many of you know Rachael from her time playing Pac-12 soccer. We're going to get into all that. Rachael, so I did warn you that we would be asking you for a 2-minute life story. Everybody who comes on the show for the first time, they have to tell their 2-minute life story. On your mark, get set, go.
All right. So grew up in Sydney, Australia. Played soccer since I was a little baby girl. Followed my brother's footsteps there, my older brother. So loved playing, and I went on and as I grew up, I played for the U20 national team, one cap for Australia, and then afterwards I played W League, so with the Central Coast Mariners for the first 2 years, so that was awesome. My family always really supportive, and then I turned around and I'm like, what else do I want to do? Right. So I'd actually taken a trip to the States back when I was 15, and I loved it. I saw like UCLA, UC Irvine, went out to Hawaii as well and played a game there. So I was like, this is what I want to do. And then I finally got to the point where I was like, all right, ready to dive head first into it. So sort of had someone help me out back home, and a lot of colleges and everything. And I was trying to decide where to go, and it came to some, and I was like, I don't know where that is. I thought Clemson was like this tiny little school in the middle of nowhere. Apparently it's not. And there's a couple other big schools and everything, but I was fortunate enough that Graham Abel actually was working at Washington State, and he had the connection with the guy Rob who I was working with, and that was it. They're like, do you want to come visit? And I'm like, no, I'm just going to come. So just landed in Pullman, and I was like at Washington State, and I'm like, oh, we're in the middle of nowhere. So I'm in some rolling hills here. This is great.
Oh, you're on the Palouse.
On the Palouse, that was it. But no, thoroughly enjoyed 2 years under Graham and Matt Potter there, and then another 2 years with Kanani McAlpine, and absolutely loved it. Went home after that. Actually, I went traveling with my sister for a little bit, and then went home, and I really missed it. I was at home for about a year, and I'm like, I really miss just being in that environment in college sports, and I was like, how can I do this? So finally got the opportunity to go over to Eastern Kentucky, and had a blast there, had a really good time. We did well, and the team was great. And then got the opportunity then. I wanted to go West Coast, but I ended up in Hawaii, so I wasn't too upset about that. And with Michelle and Mark, and we had a great time there as well. So I've been really fortunate. But then, yeah, when I got the call from Graham, I was absolutely stoked that just to hear from him. And then he's like, oh, Oregon. And I'm like, yeah, it's going to happen. So, that's my journey, my life story in the soccer world. But, yeah.
That's awesome. So I have to tell everybody that Rachael told us before we started recording that she'd tell a 30-second 2-minute life story. No, that was great. That was extremely well done. So
yes.
You thought, I don't know why you thought that was going to be 30 seconds. I've looked at your resume. I've looked at your career, and I was like, there's no way you can fit that into 30 seconds. So to recap, so you played at Washington State. You were a standout at Washington State. I think that, I get to sit here and now brag about you since you're at Oregon. And so standout at Washington State, both on the field and academically. We're going to talk about that. When you were playing, did you want to be a coach? Like, was that in the back of your mind, or did it really click for you when you went back home and then you're like, I got to get back into college athletics?
It actually was definitely a part of what I was thinking about when I was still playing. I actually spoke with Kadani about it, just in terms of like what's going to be next for me? And it wasn't like I was injured all the time or injury prone really, but I knew like my body was breaking down a little bit, and I was kind of getting over my life being ruled by soccer and playing and directing everywhere I went. So sort of wanted a little bit different in terms of I had a little more control and that sort of thing. So coaching was always the next step, and I think on the field I was always telling people what to do. So I'm like, okay, I think I could do that from the sideline. So here we are.
So you were a Pac-12 All-Academic First Team member twice. I got to ask you about that because I feel like it's cool for me to have that connection for current student athletes of why academics is so important. So that was a huge focus for you, obviously, and you did well in the classroom. So is that something that you really preach to student athletes now? Like, hey, this is an important piece to all this?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, luckily our culture within the team, everyone's really academically driven. So it's not that I have to preach it to them. They already have that drive. So, we're lucky in soccer that a lot of our players are like that, and the others that aren't, we just help them along and do the best that they can. So I don't think I have to preach it, but I did definitely, to be honest, I was a terrible student in high school. I thought I would come over and really struggle. I was like, I just want to stay eligible. And then, I ended up putting my foot down. I was like, I should try hard in school. So, but yeah, the girls, they're great. We don't even have to really worry about them in that sense. They take care of themselves.
Oregon soccer, for those of you not familiar, has consistently, since I've been here in the last 10 years, had like one of the highest GPAs and consistent APRs. So it's cool for me to be able to talk about that because it is such a big deal. You graduated with a degree in kinesiology. Also, I should have said second team All-American in 2013 for academics. So just to give you some perspective on what putting her foot down means to Rachael for doing well in the classroom. So that's an impressive accomplishment. Kinesiology, how much does that help you now as a coach, Rachael? Because I imagine you've got more of a connection. You mentioned like you've talked about your body kind of breaking down a little bit. So you've got the knowledge of that more than most maybe.
Yeah, for sure. Kines was always something I loved to do back home in Australia. I want to be a PT or what we call a PT back home. Mm-hmm. But, now as a coach, we work with GPS systems. We have all the data that comes through. And luckily we've got sports scientists here at Oregon, which is phenomenal. And now I get to work closely with Ben McKay there and really try and make sure that we hone in on and get out as much as we can from all the girls. So that's the biggest thing I take away is I can put that into on the field as well and everything else.
Rachael Doyle, Oregon soccer assistant coach, joining us. I got to ask you about your connection with Coach Abel. You talked about it a little bit. Elaborate, if you could, on just your relationship with Coach and coming here after playing for him. That's just got to be a cool piece to your relationship with Coach Abel now.
Yeah, no, it's fantastic. When I got over there, I knew he was a great coach at Washington State, and I really admired everything he did. He was always super passionate. I'll tell you a story about when we beat Washington in overtime, and I just remember turning around and seeing this big guy just running to us all, screaming like he was so stoked that we got the win that day and piled on us all, and it was awesome. It was awesome. So he's always had that passion, and when he called me, I was absolutely stoked because I knew he was a good coach then. And then he went away to the national team for 5 years. So I couldn't, not take that opportunity to work with him again. And just in the person he is as well, that's what I really knew him by. So no, I'm really happy to be here with him.
You talked a little bit about his role with the national team. You played with Australia's national team. What's that like compared to anything else? Getting the opportunity to play for those national teams and work with those national teams.
It's really a great opportunity for any player to represent their country. Is the biggest thing you can do, and that's why we support any of our girls that want to go play for their country. It's just massive. So I don't even know what to compare it to. That's a hard thing to do because really it's just you take that opportunity and you embrace it. And I still remember those. It was 13 years ago, and I still remember playing for the national team and everything. I can't remember any other game in my life, but I'll remember that. Yeah.
I thought that was funny that she Can't remember any other game she's played, but she remembers the national team. Rachael Doyle will continue our conversation with the Oregon soccer assistant coach just a little bit. Coming up, some Produx updates for you, a schedule to keep your eye on, and more of our conversation with Rachael Doyle talking about what the Oregon soccer team is up to. Stick with us. It's Duck Insider, presented by On Point Community Credit Union. Back after this on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield IMG College.
All it takes is one drop to make a wave. One beat to inspire a track. One spark to get creativity flowing. With every drop, Life Water refreshes your mind and restores your body. Purified water, pH balanced with electrolytes for taste. Designed with original works of art on every bottle. Let us be your source of inspiration. Life Water, the feel-good water.
From the weight room to the classroom, on the field and off it, On Point proudly supports University of Oregon athletics because student athletes do so much more than bring us pride on game day. They bring our entire community together in Eugene and all across Oregon. So whether you're watching the game in the stadium, at home, or at your favorite local business, their success makes all of us stronger. On Point Community Credit Union. Join in. OnPointCU.com. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
Duck Insider continues after this timeout on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield IMG College.
All right, everybody in the car, let's go.
What are we going to do first when we get there, Mom? Go for a hike?
Sure.
What about canoeing? Can we go canoeing too?
I don't see why.
How long does it take to get to the forest?
It's not that far, sweetie.
Are we there yet?
Yep, we're here.
Already?
It's a short drive from your neighborhood to your naturehood. Visit discovertheforest.org to find a neighborhood park or green space near you. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the U.S. Forest Service.
They say that car crashes happen in slow motion. The reality is that crashes happen fast. There's no time to think and no time to check if your child is in the right car seat. Car crashes are a leading killer of children 1 to 13. Are your kids in the right seat for their age and size? Don't think you know. Know you know. Get more info at safercar.gov/the-right-seat. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to Duck Insider, presented by On Point Community Credit Union. Today's show brought to you by North Fork Public House, open for dine-in and takeout, northforkeugene.com. We'll continue our conversation with Rachael Doyle, Oregon soccer assistant coach, in just a little while, talk about what the team's been up to, and also ask her the biggest difference between the United States and Australia. She's got an interesting perspective on that. All that coming up. Time now, though, for your Cafe Yum 2-minute drill. I want to take a look at your Produx calendar for the week. And remember, we talked a little bit about Ruthie Hebert and the way that she's been performing with that game-winning block, pretty impressive. And also Athletes Unlimited over this past weekend. We saw a number of Oregon softball players, including DJ Sanders, who was a team captain, do some pretty great things. Gwen Savekis continues to be the number 1 overall pick for all the drafts, because remember, they do drafts weekly, and it's very individual-based as Athletes Unlimited continues, and we wish those 4 pro Ducks the very best. But tonight in the NFL, Pittsburgh Steelers at New York Giants. Shane Lemieux could get some action, and the Tennessee Titans at the Denver Broncos. Royce Freeman will get some action there as well. Also on Thursday Night Football, Terrence Mitchell will be in action in part of the Bengals and Browns matchups. And then we have a ton, obviously, of games going on Sunday that we'll be telling you about over the course of the next few weeks. Marissa Everett, too. I want to shout out to Marissa Everett from the Portland Thorns. That game that was going to be played on Tuesday that we told you about last week is now going to be moved back to September 30th due to the wildfire smoke. A lot of updates for the NWSL as it pertains to postponements and cancellations and that sort of thing. And remember, you can always find the latest and up-to-date Pro Ducks viewing guide courtesy of Rob Mosley on GoDucks.com. And that's your Cafe Yum 2-minute drill. Cafe Yum restaurants throughout Oregon and Washington serving Northwest-inspired catering and takeout for your next gathering or meeting. Menus are always available at CafeYum.com. And today's show brought to you by Shadow Hills Country Club, your family resort just minutes from home. Call for a tour today. When we come back, more of our conversation with Rachael Doyle. We continue to get to know the latest addition to the Oregon coaching staff for Oregon soccer. It's Duck Insider, presented by On Point Community Credit Union. We're back inside the Country Financial Studio with Rachael Doyle after this on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield IMG College.
As my family continued to grow, I realized I'd have to replace my beloved Jeep with something that has, well, more seats. I'm Jason Hines, Country Financial Rep and father of 7. Whether you're upgrading from your sporty ride with no room for a car seat or finally replacing your well-loved beater that still has a cassette player, you'll want the right protection for your new car. Work with a Country Financial Rep like me and get the protection you need at a price you can afford. Learn more at TakeSimpleSteps.com or contact a local Country representative.
Mountain Dew Zero Sugar presents an original that's now maybe even better. Mary had a little lamb.
Mary had a bottle of Mountain Dew Zero Sugar with the same refreshing taste as the original, but with zero sugar. Same refreshing taste as the original, but with zero sugar. Same refreshing taste as the original, but with zero sugar. Mary had a bottle of Mountain Dew Zero Sugar. Let's taste was as good as the original, maybe even better.
Mountain Dew Zero Sugar. As good as the original, maybe even better.
Duck Insider, your home for the latest news on Oregon athletics. This is the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield IMG College.
Okay, man, this is your time. Maybe you didn't choose this, but you're here now. You're gonna go out there and be an all-star caregiver. Cook, clean, be there emotionally and physically. You gotta dig deeper. Drive them to physical therapy, doctor's appointments, because that's what caregivers do. Don't give up. Show the world that you're tougher than tough. Caregiving is tougher than tough. Find the care guides you need at aarp.org/caregiving. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Is that a faucet running? That's not a faucet. That's a river rushing through the forest. Forest rivers provide over 100 million people with clean water to drink. What? I can't hear you because of the vacuum. That's not a vacuum. That's the trees in the forest cleaning up the air we breathe. I didn't know the trees were so amazing. Yep, and the forest gives us shade, trees to climb. That's awesome. Let's go explore some more.
Visit the forest today and enjoy all it does, just for you. To learn more about the forest and find one near you, go to discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Joey Mack welcoming you back to Duck Insider, presented by On Point Community Credit Union inside the Country Financial Studio. We continue with our Willamette Valley Cancer Institute and Research Center assistant coach interview, Fight Like a Duck with cancer care you can count on. And we're talking with Rachael Doyle, Oregon soccer assistant coach. She was a standout defender at Washington State, 2-time All-League, and now coaching for the Ducks. We continue our conversation with Rachael Doyle. Rachael Doyle joining us. All right, biggest difference between Australia and the United States?
Ooh, biggest difference. Driving on the other side of the road.
Yeah.
And now it's all back to front because I go home and then I drive on the wrong side of the road at home, and I'm like, where am I?
I have a couple friends, 2 of my best friends from college that actually now live in Australia. They studied abroad in Australia, and then they never came back. That was the joke that we all made with them. They've actually said the exact same thing, that now to them it's home to be on the other side. So that's it. Or
I go and I still sometimes don't know which side is the driver's side of the car. So I'm walking that whole car just to figure out where I'm trying to get in.
That's true. Rachael Doyle joining us. This has been an odd first year for all of you guys. I mean, obviously this is not the first year that you guys anticipated with COVID. Now you're dealing with smoke in your training schedule and how you guys are adapting to that. How's it been? I mean, I don't even know how to ask that question. Just how's year one been as we now anticipate a spring season for soccer?
I mean, it's nuts. We were all ready to come in, get down to work, and then everything happened and everything's just changed completely, you know. Graham and I have been here 9 months now and still haven't played a game with the team, which is crazy. But, you know, the girls have handled it well. We've been able to do a lot and be really productive in what we're doing in terms of Zoom. And now, even with social distance practicing, we're getting a lot out of them. And the girls, they've been really flexible, which has been awesome because, you know, even in these hard times, they've been able to focus when we need them to focus. So I think it's been productive in how we've done things. Now we're just waiting to translate that into, you know, the field and an actual game.
Give fans a sense of what workouts are looking like now. You guys are distanced, a lot of individual work, and just adhering to the new guidelines. Give fans a sense of what workouts look like.
I mean, when we're on the field, masks all the time. So the girls have been really good about wearing the mask all the time, staying distant. And then, it's up to us as coaches to be a little creative about how we can do things. And it's not just, we'll just go shoot today because that's easy to stay away from everyone. It's no, we'll do dribbling, passing. We'll do all different types of drills. We even try to drill where we're socially distanced and doing some sort of defensive work, which I think was great. It actually did work fairly well, besides being a little too far away. So you got to try different things in this time to make sure that we still get the most out of them. And like I said, they've just adapted really well.
Yeah, that's something that I think has been cool is you talk about the adversity that these student athletes and the coaches are facing, but the adaptability is really on display throughout all of this. I guess the follow-up that I have for that is, what's next for you guys? I mean, you got another couple creative drills that you're going to be working on? I mean, you're smiling, then you're like, yeah, this is what we talk about every day, Joey. Thank you.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, every day we think of something different, and until we get the go-ahead to do contact when it's safe for the players, then, we'll keep coming up with new things and making it worthwhile for us and them to be out there and doing everything that we need to do. And we can do a lot of tactical work as well. But still, we're able to really hone down on technical skills that sometimes get missed, especially within a season. So it's actually been a really productive, great time.
Rachael Doyle, Oregon soccer assistant coach, joining us. Tell us a little bit about your squad. I know you're working closely with the defenders. Just your breakdown of kind of what the squad looks like as you guys now get ready for that spring season.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, this is a talented team. And no doubt in my mind that they've been talented for a little bit and everything. So all we have to do is get them on the right track in terms of how they play and all those good things, because, they are a really good squad. And I think you look at our forward line, it's absolutely stacked. We've got a lot of pace and, a lot of players that score goals within the box. And that's what we need. And then we got some really crafty midfielders. I mean, you think that Shah comes back, True, Sofinius has really come alive. And even, Caitlin Shaw is just so solid back there. And then we add in, Brooke Schultz and Maddie Granti, and it looks really solid within midfield and how we'll play. And then the back line is all returners now. No freshmen that'll be, starting within there. But then you got Brooke and Bryn and Rosie who are coming up. So it's a real exciting time. And I think it looks great. And then Leah and Charlotte, I mean, they've both been through this non-contact phase have been phenomenal. It's hard to score a goal against them. So I'm really stoked that they're in the post behind the back line, and the back line's looking solid. So, we're ready.
So you touched on this a little bit, and I know Coach Abel's a big reason why, but what about Oregon was like, yeah, for sure, I want that job? I mean, I like to ask that because I feel like there's a perception of everything on the outside. Then once you're inside, that perception changes a little bit, hopefully for the better when you're coming here. I mean, so Rachel, what was it? I mean, what about Oregon was like, yeah, I want that?
I mean, yeah, when you think of Oregon, you see everything with football and all of that. But I knew that there was really good facilities here. I mean, besides the fact that Graham was coming and Manny was staying, I met Manny a couple of times and he's just the nicest guy. He's just awesome. So I knew that wouldn't be a problem. And then, you look at Oregon and you see all the glitz and the glam, and I'm like, I just knew that there would be the right facilities here and the right support for the players to get them to where they need to be. But what I didn't expect was just how friendly everyone is, how nice everyone is and welcoming. I got a ton of emails like welcoming me. And then, I was walking through and Rob Mullins just like, hey, come in with Lisa. And I was just like, hey. So, I didn't expect that. It's just awesome that they care here and everyone cares. And that's been the biggest thing for me is I didn't expect it, but I'm happy that it does show here.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear that. I mean, that's something that I ask that question to pretty much everybody, every new coach that comes on the show. And more often than not, something along those lines is what people say, which is pretty cool because, we're sitting here, so I should remind everybody, our studio is actually directly across from the Oregon soccer offices. So we get to know the soccer coaches, a little bit over the years. And so it's great to have you, Rachel. I can't thank you enough for taking your time. I want to end with this. I like to ask people who have gone through the student-athlete grind, what advice would you give to one, prospective student-athletes, and two, current student-athletes? And I know it's different for everybody. Do you have just kind of some general wisdom maybe to share with those folks?
I mean, prospects just keep emailing, keep, doing whatever you can to be a little bit different and stand out and do your thing, work hard and show your improvement. I think that's a big thing. I mean, you're all still young, so show your improvement from time to time, and coaches will appreciate that. And that's what they look for is a hard worker and someone who's willing to put in the work. And then current students, it's a all I have to give mentality in terms of you put everything forward into your school, into your soccer, and then into life as well, like growing as a person, giving back to the community, anything you can do. Like, it's your time to be almost selfless in that respect as well, especially with everything going on in the world, especially even around here with the fires. It's just nice that you give everything that you can to help everyone out around you. So, I think it's a time through college to do that as a student athlete as well.
Rachael Doyle, Oregon soccer assistant coach. Hey, it was great to get to know you. I said that was the last one, but I forgot to ask you, have you settled in yet? I mean, you've been here for 9 months. Like, do you feel like it's home yet? Have you been able to settle in with everything going on?
It is. We bought a house, so we're really stoked about that. Yep. And, it's feeling good around here. It's been a little different. I'm not going to lie. I haven't really been in the office around people, but go on trivia every other week when I have the time. Haven't recently, but that's been fantastic to get to know people. But within time, when everyone's back in here, it'll be fun to actually get to know people face to face a little bit more.
That's great. I promise that when the Casanova Center doesn't feel quite as eerie as since you've been in your office now a little bit. I mean, it's a little weird walking around the hallways when you can't really talk to anybody because no one's here. Yeah, it's odd. So here's to for all of us getting back to that sense of normalcy and looking forward to that spring season. Rachel, thank you so much for taking the time. I just really appreciate it. Thanks for what you do, and I'm looking forward to catching up with you again here at some point.
Awesome. Thanks, Joey.
That was good stuff, getting to know Rachael Doyle from Oregon Soccer. I think that team is going to find a lot of success under Graham Abel and this new coaching staff that includes Manny Martins, who we talked with last week, just getting to know Coach Martins again. And I think it's going to be awesome just to see the growth of that program continue to move forward. And again, we're all anticipating a spring season. What exactly that looks like, we still don't know exactly. None of us know for sure, because as soon as we think we've figured it out, everything changes. We're all aware of that. The good news is that things seem to be trending in a positive direction with the daily testing being on campus. I've actually talked to some of the soccer coaches off the air about that, like just how big of a deal is that? And they're like, oh, it's huge. I mean, I think you saw the Big 12 make a similar agreement as the Pac-12 here recently, and I think that's going to be the norm now moving forward to see that sort of daily testing, if you will. And that's going to be how we can get back to that sense of normalcy. And what the basketball season looks like, hopefully we have a little more clarity on that this week. We're all kind of anticipating that moving forward. Up next, some final news and notes as we wrap up Duck Insider on a Monday. We're back after this on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield IMG College.
From the weight room to the classroom, on the field and off it, On Point proudly supports University of Oregon athletics because student athletes do so much more than bring us pride on game day. They bring our entire community together in Eugene and all across Oregon. So whether you're watching the game in the stadium, at home, or at your favorite local business, their success makes all of us stronger. On Point Community Credit Union. Join in. OnPointCU.com. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
After 2 years of construction, my wife and I finally moved into our dream home. So when a bathtub fixture broke, causing major water damage, I was glad we had the home insurance protection we needed. How do you know your home is protected? Talk to a Country Financial rep like me, Nick Simon. We can help you understand your options and select coverages to meet your needs. Then if something happens to your home, you won't have any surprises. Need the right coverage for your home but not sure where to start? Visit TakeSimpleSteps.com or contact a local Country representative.
This is Duck Insider. Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield IMG College.
Most of my family, they never graduated high school, so I'm trying to break that barrier.
My daughter Brooklyn was also a motivation for me to go back to school.
Every day after work, went straight to school, and it paid off.
At age 26, Kareem finished his high school diploma.
I could not have done it alone. I see the future is really bright for me.
No one gets a diploma alone. If you're thinking of finishing your high school diploma, you have help. Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org. Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
You took the first step and quit smoking, but even former smokers may still be at risk for lung cancer. That's why SaveByTheScan.org wants you to know about a new low-dose CT scan that can detect lung cancer early. It takes only 60 seconds and could save your life. You took the first step, now take the next. Visit SaveByTheScan.org for a simple quiz to see if you're eligible and talk to your doctor about screening. SaveByTheScan.org is brought to you by the American Lung Association's Lung Force Initiative and the Ad Council.
Joey Mack welcoming you back to Duck Insider, presented by On Point Community Credit Union. Today's show brought to you by Jackson's Food Source, proud sponsor of the University of Oregon Ducks. Stop by your neighborhood Jackson's for all your essentials with everyday specials on the necessities that you'll need. Go Ducks, and thanks to Jackson's for their longtime support. That was great, I thought, getting to know Rachael Doyle. It was funny. She joked with us after we wrapped up the interview, like, well, I watched everything that Graham said and Manny said, so Coach Abel and Coach Martin. She's like, but I'm not going to go watch this one. Like, I won't watch my own. But I think we can all agree that was pretty good. Yeah, I thought it was really good getting to know Coach Doyle. And somebody who, she's the same age as me. And so, someone who is getting involved in coaching now at the Pac-12 level, I just think it's cool to see that. And I'm really wishing that Oregon soccer team the best, because they lost their spring season. First-year head coach. Now they're postponed to the spring for their fall season, and it's just, what a first year for Coach Abel and his staff. And I'll tell you firsthand, talking with all those soccer student athletes, talking with the coaches, they're still zeroed in on getting ready for that spring season. And there's, it's a very similar mentality to what we talked about with Coach Cristobal last Friday, actually, or 2 Fridays ago now, that, hey, you got to be ready when your number's called. You just have to be. And I think that's the only approach to take. And so, with that in mind, we can all be ready when that number gets called. And for Oregon basketball and for Oregon women's basketball, for every one of the winter sports, it's kind of waiting on the NCAA decision that we hope will come on Wednesday. That's good news. We're hopeful that things are moving in the right direction, trending well, if you will. So I'm encouraged, and I think that you all should be as well. On the show tomorrow, speaking of basketball, Mark Campbell is going to join us. I'm really looking forward to talking with the Women's Basketball Associate head coach. He has been doing film rooms on the various student athletes and former student athletes from Oregon women's basketball. We're going to talk to him about that. Getting into the film study with Mark Campbell a little bit. And let's just say that he's a hot commodity around the basketball community. That dude knows what he's doing. And we're going to talk with him on the show tomorrow. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you again.
When you went car shopping, you meant business. You aced vehicle history searches and test drives. You out-salesmaned the salesman. Now you've got your wheels. If you manage that, you can get your retirement plan on track. Visiting aceyourretirement.org can help. With 401k tips and smart saving strategies, you'll have the info you need to get more for your future. Go to ACE